Welcome to the Knowledge for Men show. Your life will never be the same.
Your level of success will seldom exceed your level of personal development.
I want to die empty of regret. I want to die empty of my best work. We don't understand who we are. Instead, we're living out somebody else's narrative.
What one man can do, another man can do. If it's been done, it can be done again.
Being yourself and being your truest, most authentic self in every moment. If it scares you or makes you a little afraid, do it. Follow your heart and your gut.
The first stage, I think, is finding you, like finding out who I am today.
Stuff will not work. You will have things that fail. Success is when you're a happy, fulfilled person. How do you define success?
It's your life, and you are the creator of the movie script that is your life story.
So many of you over the last 3 months have been asking me questions through email about not just becoming a stronger grounded man, but also about how I built my online freedom business. You see, I used to be broke, sleeping on my brother's couch with only $15 to my name, to now having a top-ranked men's podcast on iTunes. I'm a 3-time Amazon bestselling author. I sell out events where men come from around the world to attend my powerful trainings, and I'm working with amazing clients one-on-one. I share exactly what I would do if I was going to start over in this free training on becoming an influencer at kfminfluence.com. Again, that's kfminfluence.com. This will get you in the game, save you thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours of trying to figure all of this out on your own. This is the stuff people charge for, but I'm giving it to you for free at kfminfluence.com. All right, guys, welcome to the show. I'm here with Jason Saltzman. He's the CEO and founder of Alley. It's an entrepreneurial community connecting the right people at the right time for startups. He's also a mentor for the Techstars Startup Accelerator and is a special advisor for entrepreneurship and technology for the U.S. State Department. Jason, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Jason, so we start off every show with a favorite quote, or, I'm all about quotes. I love success quotes. I think it's a great way to start the show. So what do you got for us, and what does that mean to you?
Sure. So my favorite quote is, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity.
Okay. And what does that mean to you, and how does that play a role in your journey?
Yeah. I think that there's a lot of false perception on growing a business and being an entrepreneur. And I think that a lot of it has to do with the media celebrating all the wins. And it's kind of like, it looks like all these entrepreneurs got lucky, right? The CEO of Dropbox and Airbnb and all these different companies, it looks like, they became overnight successes. But the truth is that they've all grinded it out, and they've all gone through their own trials and tribulations and a bloody war, which is real entrepreneurship, to get to where they are. So it might seem like luck, but the reality is it isn't. And I like to constantly remind myself as I go through my own trials and tribulations to build my business and to create value for everybody around me.
So what I'm getting from you is what we see is that one day of success, but behind that one day of success, or that week or month, what have you, there was years and years of hard work.
Correct.
And likely failures, and likely a lot of failures and dark periods.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, I've been self-employed since I was 17. I'm 38 now. So as you can imagine, gone through my own crap to get to where I am today. And most of my success has come through in the last 5 years. I mean, I've literally went through selling pretty much everything in all different verticals, learning every type of lesson there is. And if it's one thing I take with me constantly, it's that it'll never be easy. And you really have to work hard no matter what it looks like from the outside world, because entrepreneurship these days is so celebrated in the media. I can't say it enough. Like, you raise a round of financing, you're on TechCrunch the next day. And although that's validating to a certain point, it's not true success, right? It's just a step in that direction. So there's a lot of like these things that are out there that are falsely perceived as the ultimate success, when the reality is you have a lot of work, you have a lot of grinding out. And to become a real business, it takes many years of hard work, sleepless nights. And, I also like the saying, like, and this is from probably somebody anonymous that went through the shit. When you're a startup, one day is the best day of your life, followed by the worst day of your life. And you have to completely deal with that. because the swings are super high. It's like sitting at the largest blackjack table in the world.
Yeah. I heard something there that really stuck out. You said you've been self-employed since 17. You're now 38. I want to talk about that a bit. But what really stuck out to me was you said most of my success has been in the last 5 years. And so doing the math, 17 to 38, that's 21 years of hustle, of entrepreneurship, of working hard and going after some dreams here. And you just said the last 5 years have really been the best. So that's doing the math there. 21 minus 5. That's 16 years of hard work before you started to see the fruits of the labor. Is that right? Am I putting that together right?
Yes. Statistically speaking, I suck.
Why do you say that? Why do you say that?
Because if you're looking at odds, right? I mean, 16 out of 21, 22 years, you look at things like that and you're like, statistically in any type of test, those aren't good numbers. You know, I've had about 30 startups in my life. I just gave a talk in Poland, actually, and they wanted to know, like, you know, the reality of starting a business. And I went over, I wanted to show them where I was from. I wanted to show them that this was a lot of work and I went through a lot of businesses, and my startup life looks like kind of like if you went through my startup graveyard, which I like to call it, of all the logos of the companies that I started to pull them out to give this presentation. And it was interesting because each and every one of these companies I believed in. I didn't think that any of them were going to fail. And I went after each and every one of these opportunities with vigor and and I put blood, sweat, and tears into it. At the time, you think, I'm giving it my all. I'm giving it everything I got. But something that I definitely learned out of it was the failure was the lesson. The fact that I failed and I woke up the next day and I took all that knowledge from that failure and I applied it to the next business and the next project I worked on was the whole reason why I'm where I'm at today. And some people get there quicker than others. I'm not saying that I'm the smartest person in the room. I'm just lucky enough to look at my mistakes and my failures as lessons so I can learn from every single one of those moves I made to help me today in the decision process that I make.
Yeah. And for everyone listening, this applies to anything in life. You could be in sports. Yeah. Even if you're a career-oriented person, it could take a long time before you actually hit the level of success you want in your career. This is not to discount the people who aren't pursuing entrepreneurship, but we're using Jason's story here and pulling out the lessons so that you can apply these into your own life and whatever endeavor it is. Even relationships can take a lot of time. But what I'm getting from you here is hard work plus learning from the mistakes plus the thing that we just don't like, time. Because we want it now. We want the instant gratification of success now. And if it's taking longer than a year, we're going to move on to that next thing. So how do you stick with it when you're not seeing results? You know, share with us some stories of what it was like in the first 16 years when you're broke, I'm assuming, or just, you know, in debt and you're noodles and mac and cheese is your homeboy.
Yeah. I mean, this is very subjective, right? I mean, you know, and luckily I'm in a position where not only am I building my company, but I'm able to help other companies. You know, you had mentioned earlier, I am a mentor for Techstars, but I'm also a mentor for all the companies that come my way. We have hundreds of companies that work out of Alley. And part of what I love to do is share my experiences and let them know, you know, these type of lessons, that it is going to take a long time, that you're not alone. You're not crazy, and you're going through a natural process. It's one of the hardest things in the world to do is grow something out of nothing. And if you think it's easy and that's why you're getting into it, you are in for a rude awakening because it is one of the most difficult things in the world to do. So first you have to realize that, right? You have to realize that what you're getting into is not easy. And it's going to be a huge pain in the ass, both from a spiritual, psychological journey, and it also affects you physically. I mean, these things, I mean, there's definitely a trend in, you know, depression, which not a lot of people really like to talk about, but it exists, and in the startup community because the swings are so high. And you have to prepare yourself for that. If you're not of the type to want to problem solve, to want to go through situations and actually find solutions to those situations, and if you don't see the obstacle as a beautiful lesson that you want to learn, then you're barking up the wrong tree. You're in the wrong space and you shouldn't start it. And that's some of the things that I've learned along the way. I've gone through major psychological issues with myself. I've suffered from anxiety. I write about these things. I also write for Entrepreneur Magazine. I'm a frequent contributor, and I talk about my anxiety. I'm open with it because I think that there needs to be less of a stigma, and we need to really talk about these things so you don't feel so alone. And that one article I wrote about anxiety got shared hundreds of thousands of times, and it went viral, and it got retweeted from some of the most successful venture capitalists and entrepreneurs in the world. I mean, Mark Andreessen from Andreessen Horowitz, the large VC firm, retweeted my article. I mean, that just shows you, that that exists. You have to know that. So know that going into it. Know that this is not a cakewalk. I overemphasize my original quote by saying, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity, because it is that preparation, it is that persistence, it is that hard work that you have to put into something, but you have to know that you're getting into something, and it's a bloody war, it's a bloody mess. And I think the lessons that I've learned along the way, taking a step back and understanding that I learned something completely fruitful, like you said, not just for my business, but for my life, makes it very worthwhile for me to move forward. I get a lot out of that.
Absolutely. I think entrepreneurship, any sort of endeavor that you commit yourself to for 16 years, 21 years here, it's going to build some pigskin. It's going to build some mental toughness and resilience, because you're going to have to go through a lot of those tough periods. How do we become okay with the fact that it is likely to take a long time, and that we aren't going to become an overnight success, over week success, over month success, even over year success?
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good question. I mean, first of all, I don't think we're ever going to be okay. I've raised millions of dollars, almost in the triple digits of millions of dollars. I've written for some of the largest publications in the world, and I've flown around the world to inspire communities to be built around what I do. And still to this day, every day is a stressful moment. You're never really at ease. So that's something to really consider also. I know I make it sound, your audience that is listening to this,
you're
like,
scared shitless.
Right, this is the most depressing guy on the planet.
Yeah.
But it's important to understand these things, because there is that something else.
You're telling the truth too. I mean, the whole idea that you're going to start this business and it's all sunshine and rainbows is not, that's not the truth. That's just a very small percentage of what happens after you do the work. You're upfront right now telling the truth, and it's not sexy, but it's real.
Yeah, because I feel like, and the reason why I always say it and I reiterate it over and over again, is the fact that there's so many times I visit colleges. I was just at Yale this weekend speaking on a panel, and there's so much, misunderstanding and misguidance around the startup world that it's so cool. It's just, you're a rock star if you're an entrepreneur, and it's what you should do because it's going to be awesome and you're going to work for yourself. And it's like, no, you're going to be a slave, and you're going to be a slave to your investors. You're going to be a slave to your clients, should you be so lucky to have them. This shit needs to be exposed. You need to know the reality about what you're getting into. Now, past all that crap that I said, I have an amazing group of people around me. I have a beautiful team of intelligent people that work their asses off every day with the vision in mind, because we truly feel that what we're doing, the world needs us. And you have to have that belief. Set aside metrics and raising money and all this other crap that you have to do to raise a business. If you don't truly feel and truly know that the world needs you to exist, then you shouldn't be working on what you're working on. And I'm not saying it has to be a product that is for global peace and earth-changing, gratification.
Save global warming.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But you fundamentally have to believe that the world needs you in order for you to get through these times. And then you're filled with moments of gratification. And it's not instant gratification. It's that looking back and looking at what you created, looking at the jobs that you created, looking at the lives of the people that you helped in that process. And that is a huge form of currency. And if you're not into that type of currency, then this definitely is not, again, this is not right for you, because those are the moments where you're really going to sit back and be like, you know what? I'm doing the right thing. I'm on the right path, and this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
What would you say are some of the characteristics of an individual that you think is likely to not succeed in this game? If you start sensing some of these characteristics, I don't think I'm going to put my money here.
Yeah, no, that's a very valid question, because we do invest in companies, and we do, and I believe investing in people. So rather than the products, the people first. And I believe that from what I've seen over the years, the arrogant nature of individuals that just want to hear themselves talk and they don't listen to the world around them, and they're so quick to believe in what they're doing without any sense of emotional intelligence, is something that I stay clear away from. And also the people that just are so afraid to fail that they won't ship things. You have to ship shit. Reid Hoffman says, if you're not embarrassed, one of the co-founders of LinkedIn, if you're not embarrassed by the first version, I'm dropping the quotes today.
That's good. I like quotes. That's good.
There you go. If you're not embarrassed by your first version of what you're shipping, then you did it wrong, right? So you have to be willing to ship. You have to be willing to expose yourself. And they're all characteristics of people that have a good moral fiber, a good constitution for listening to people, and just the opposite of arrogance. Because I've seen it before where people are so arrogant, they believe, this is it. What's your metrics? Who have you heard this from? What's your validation? It can't just be from you unless you're your only client, right? I want to create that product. But to answer your question in full, arrogant individuals that don't listen to people, that develop things in a vacuum, that are afraid of failure, are the type of people that I stay away from when in terms of any type of investment or thinking for a second that they're going to be successful.
Now, do you think that everyone can do this? Or do you think some people are better suited for a executive role within a established company?
So that's a very good question. I definitely do not think that this is for everybody, both from a financial perspective. I mean, you have to have the ability to actually grow a business. And, a lot of people, unfortunately, aren't, and especially the underserved people of the world, they don't have the ability of just dropping what they're doing to start a new business. So it becomes very difficult. I do think that there are increasing tools and assets for people to plug into that make it much more inexpensive to grow a business, but you still have to have the ability of doing so. So just from a purely economic standpoint, I don't feel that it's for everybody. From a psychological standpoint, no, I definitely don't think it's for everybody. I don't think everybody can handle the swings. I think it's for the few and the brave to actually go through what I'm talking about to make it, to become successful and to understand these ideologies, that we're talking about here. So I do not absolutely think it's for everybody. I think it's for a small percentage. And I think that the facts are in the statistics. I mean, It's something like 99% of all startups fail. I mean, can you handle that? Can you handle the fact that the odds are so stacked ahead against you? Are you willing to get into that?
I think a lot of would-be entrepreneurs might be rethinking here. So we'll pick it up. But before we do, you talked about arrogance. And when can we look at arrogance? When it's overconfidence and when it's coming off as delusion? Because there are some of these successful entrepreneurs who have some sort of delusion around their vision. And because of that delusion, it allows them to not listen to others and actually produce something that is remarkable. Kind of going off that whole quote where it's like, if you would have asked Henry Ford, what would the people want? If he asked the people, they would have said a faster horse. And instead, he didn't listen. He went and built a car.
I think there's a misconception on like arrogance and confidence, right? I believe that arrogance is the lack of confidence. Like, why else would you have to act arrogant if you're not confident, right? I think confidence is a wonderful thing. There's nothing more than I love to walk into a meeting and somebody knows they truly know that what they're doing, and they know they're on the right path, and they have all these things. My beef is with the people that they're not willing to accept questions properly. When you ask them certain things, they double talk like we haven't been through a sales pitch before. We've all been through sales pitches. I know when you're trying to sell me or not. If you're going to sell me, I want to know that you believe in the product that you're selling. And that's confidence to me. That's not arrogance. I also am I'm a big fan of competition, right? You mentioned Henry Ford. I realize that, people like Peter Thiel, believe that, that you have to stay away from competition, create something brand new, do something that nobody's done before. And I believe it's really easy to say that when you're sitting on top of an ivory tower and you're selecting all these people from a helicopter view. But what about all the people that are fighting in the pit? What about all the people that are trying to do that and they just can't? Because, what idea can you think of that nobody else has thought of? And I'm not saying it doesn't exist. But how many unicorns are there? The last I heard, there was something like 150 unicorns in the world. And for your viewers, a unicorn is like $1 billion company that's spawned out of Airbnb or a Dropbox.
Like a Snapchat, Instagram.
Yeah. Like how many are there? 99% of all startups fail. And that's not including the statistics on how many unicorns there are, because there's only 150. Are you going to be one of them? That's a worse chance than winning the lotto, right? So I'm a big fan of getting involved with the competitive market. I think that if there's competition, that means that there's something that
there's an audience for it.
There's an audience for it. It's already been validated. No, there's going to be no competition if there's no money to be made, right? The more competition, it's like just create a better product, create more value for your customers, and so on and so forth. So
okay, so we talked about entrepreneurs' characteristics where you think they might fail. Now let's talk about the characteristics where you think they might succeed, where you feel it and you feel good about it. You feel good about this person. You notice certain things. You're like, damn it, yeah, I like this guy. I like what he's doing. I like what he's about. What are those characteristics?
Yeah, the total opposite is somebody who has a lot of charisma, that has a lot of confidence. To me, again, it's the opposite of arrogance. Somebody who really wants to listen. Somebody that does more listening than talking, right? How many times have you gotten into a meeting and it's all them talking, and before you know it, it's over. It's like this person asked for my time, and they didn't even hear what I had to say. But it's the total opposite on the other side of the spectrum. Somebody that asks you a question and listens to everything you want to give, because they realize that your experiences are completely different than theirs, and they want to learn from you. And every human goes through something different. And these type of people want to learn from everyone. And you could see that. You could see that in posture. You could see the way they absorb information. And while you're talking to them, the different methods that they use to validate their ideas make a hell of a lot of sense. Rather than somebody saying, because I just know it. Well, why do you think your product's worth it? Because I know it. It's like, no, I actually tested this. And 29 out of 30 people think that it's amazing. They just want me to work on the user experience. So that's what we're focused on right now. It's that type of entrepreneur and that type of character that I've seen personally succeed time and time again.
Yeah. Anything else?
Really cool people. I talk about Ali has a closed off environment. We're a private network, but we really don't have an application process to look at who your investors are or how much money you have. We really look at who you are and if we'd actually hang out with you. And we've created this unbelievable environment where people want to give to each other. And I think that's because the type of people that we've tapped into are the type of people that like to share. So I believe in anyone that wants to share, in anyone that wants to learn from other people's experiences. And I think that really starts from a very simple view. Just be cool. Be cool with others. Be wanting to give. Be wanting to give your life experiences and be willing to listen to others.
Yeah, I like that. What would you say are some of the most common mistakes, like maybe do's and don'ts that would-be entrepreneurs make when they're trying this?
Yeah, well, that's another really good question. I think the biggest trend that I see with early stage entrepreneurs that are just starting out is that they're afraid to share their ideas. They're afraid somebody's going to steal their idea and run with it. And the reality is that your ideas are worth shit, right? Ideas are worth nothing. It's all about the execution, and you need to execute. You should go up to your competition and tell them your ideas and see how they react to it. Because if they start to steal it, guess what? You have an awesome idea. Go build it better, right? So I see that a lot. And I also see this huge fear of failure. I see people walking into situations and they're about to take a meeting with an investor and they're like, wow, like what if I don't? And it's like, wait, hold on a second. There's 1,000 of them and there's one of you. And you need to question them and their ability to help you past writing a check. And you got to get over this feeling that you're going to fail in this meeting. And you're going to get over this meeting that you're going to fail with your product, because the reality is if you look at failure as a lesson, there's so many amazing things that can come out of it. I mean, you're not going to die. You're going to wake up the next day and you're going to absorb all the things that you could have did differently. And you're going to use that in your next project. And I am living proof of that.
Yeah. Looking at your story here, it seems like you didn't fail. You just didn't give up.
Yeah.
You just kept showing up. I mean, 21 years in the game, 16 years of hard work, last 5 years have been the best. I mean, it may take longer for some, but so what? Yeah. I mean, you're in the game and you probably have more experience and knowledge behind you of how to make this happen versus the guy who just started and may have been in the right market, may have been in the right place, right time, and his business took off. Versus the guy who's stuck around and he's been in the arena, and it's like, what's the next 21 years going to look like for you because you put in those first 16.
Yeah.
16 years of really hard work before you got the 5 of success. And so I think that's what really sticks out. Like, someone else can get it sooner and they can't, then they feel like, oh, well, what's the point? I mean, I'm going to have to go work this much harder when that guy can do it and get it so much sooner. It's like, what's the big deal? I mean, you're going to learn so much when you stay in the arena and just keep fighting for your dreams.
Yeah. I mean, Andrew, you said it before. Like, this isn't just about business, right? This is about life. This is about growing.
This is absolutely about life. Being a strong, grounded man, really living your life. Yep.
100%. I can't thank the negative things that have happened to me enough to teach me and to shape the man I am today and to just move on from there. Not to say I don't want fit. It's not like, hey, shit on me tomorrow. I want to learn more. It's not like that. But when you do look at it from a bird's eye view, 2 days, 2 years, 10 years later, you became the person that you are because of all the adversity that you faced.
Yeah. And
that's something that an overnight success or the luck of the draw, they just don't have. And God bless them. And I wish everybody the luck, but we have to look at this thing as a marathon and not a sprint. And you have to take your form of currency the way you want to. And my life experiences, even though I might not be a billionaire yet, you have to take your form of currency in any shape and form. And my failures and the lessons I've learned from those failures are a huge form of currency for me.
Yeah. Plus, you just know how to do it now. And I place you in, let's say, Austin, Texas, with $1,000. I take away all your money and just give you $1,000. And could you figure something out?
Yes.
That's probably exciting you.
Andrew, don't do that to me.
Are you excited? Does that sound fun for you or what?
in a weird way, it does.
Yeah. And you see, you could take the guy who maybe just started and hit something and really got the ball rolling, started seeing success. Granted, he's on his own journey too, or he or she, but if I was to ask him that same question, him or her, the answer may not come across as, "Oh, that sounds fun," but you're getting giddy because you want to do it because you could, and it's because you put in the hard work in the beginning, and you're not one hit wonder type of person here.
Yeah, you're not afraid. It's really what it comes down to. I mean, you're not afraid to fail, and you're not afraid of fighting your way out of a paper bag. And that, I was just listening to a really cool interview from the CEO of Alibaba, and he was like, I won't invest in an entrepreneur unless he or she has failed twice. And I think that's really the point, right? It's like they don't look, they're not thinking of you as a serial failure. It's your failures are connected to only the experience that you've given into the projects that you're working at. And somebody that's failed twice and somebody that has a PhD in failure is more than likely to succeed if they pick themselves up and work through it the next time. You just got to keep going. Like you said, you got to wake up in the morning. You got to keep going.
That applies for everything. Guy just got out of a divorce or breakup. Guy's not struggling in the gym. Guy's not getting the results he wants in his sales job. I mean, you got to pick yourself up and keep going. Let's see here, Jason. So when you have failed, if you can think of a moment really bad when you did fail, how did you handle it and how did you pick yourself back up?
Yeah, a few moments stick out in my mind, but there was one time where I raised $1 million on a tech product that, I was very confident that 1 million people were going to use. I spent a year in developing it in a vacuum. We raised $1 million on the product. We hired a PR company. We opened up the door and there were crickets. It was like at that point, everything I thought about what I was doing was completely wrong. And it was super emotional. I mean, I had a co-founder at the time. He's still one of my good friends, but it hurt our relationship tremendously. We put our blood, sweat, and tears into the product. I mean, we fought like physically. Like I remember we wrestled. He was bigger than me. I had to like bite his ear to get off of me. But that's real. That's real shit right there. And I just remember, feeling like such a failure and feeling like it was it. And then I really took a really hard look at myself and I said, what did I do wrong? And at that point, I started to just read a lot, and listen to podcasts like this. I mean, frankly speaking, listening to the people that have been there before, and this is way before my co-working space, because one good thing about joining a co-working space or any type of community or listening to a podcast like this is clearly this is not the first time that this has happened. Like there are so many stories where people have failed and successful entrepreneurs make their way into their 40s and 50s before they become a success, and they go through all these things. And I think what was very supportive to me was learning that I was not alone. And this was very common. And I had a choice at that moment. It's like, do I pack up my bags and I take my toys and I go home? Or do I take the knowledge that I learned and I move forward? And I chose the latter of the two. And I'm sure as shit happy I did, because not only now could I work on my own products, but I can also share my experiences with people like you and your listeners and tell them that like this is okay. It's good to fail. Embrace it. As hard and as shitty as that sounds, you have to learn to do it. Because those of us that been there before know that it's just another notch in the belt. And even if I fail tomorrow and my business goes away, I know that you could drop me off in Arizona with $1,000 in my pocket and I'm going to take all that knowledge and I'm going to be successful over it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the beauty of it. As you learn how to do it, you learn it's a part of you. It's something that you're confident that you can do again and again. And that's a skill set in itself right there. It's like getting a black belt in a martial art. Like you got it. You didn't just beat up the guy on accident. Like, you could do it again and defend yourself because you've been doing this for a good part of your life. This has been very powerful. Let's dive into the knowledge round, Jason. Just going to ask you a few more rapid fire questions here.
Sure.
Have you ever wanted to become a highly paid online thought leader in your space? Have you ever wanted to be an author and get that book out? Have you ever wanted to speak on stage about something that you were passionate about and get paid for it? Have you ever wanted to sell courses online passively and wake up to seeing deposits made into your bank account while you were sleeping? So if you're interested in learning how to become a highly paid online thought leader and doing something similar to what I do, then you're going to love this free training I made for you, where I share the exact steps I would take to build an online thought leader business if I was going to start all over. Go to kfminfluence.com to get access to this training. Again, that's kfminfluence.com. You see, people kept asking me how I built knowledge for men in a relatively short amount of time. So I created this training for you to save you time and money so that you can go out there and make a massive impact and income in the world doing what matters most to you. Go to kfminfluence.com to get this training now. Welcome to the Knowledge Round, where the guests will be asked rapid-fire questions to give the audience invaluable pieces of wisdom to help transform their lives. Starting in 3, 2, 1, showtime. All right, Jason, first question I have for you is, what advice would you give to someone who's feeling really lost or kind of unsure of like their purpose, like what they should be doing, not sure if they're doing the right thing?
Well, the first thing is to understand that you're not alone. I mean, if anything, that's a clear message that I'd like to reiterate is that, you are amongst the millions of people that are trying to do something that is completely impossible, which is potentially build something out of nothing. Even if you work for a company and you feel lost and alone, you're probably trying to push the envelope. If it doesn't hurt, then you're doing something wrong, right? My advice to you is that you definitely have to look towards the passion of things, but understand that the feelings that you're going through are very normal and you are completely not alone. And the next day is the opportunity to learn from whatever it is you're doing so you can move forward. The next thing is, I love dropping books. There's a really good book. It's called So Good They Can't Ignore You. And it's basically about finding passion in really anything, becoming an expert at anything. There's an example of somebody that works at a pencil factory. And who would have thought that you can get passionate around pencils? I'm sure that if you become an expert in lead and material-based deliverability systems or something like that, you will find the passion in what you do. So it's not just about this grand idea of changing the world. It's changing the world around you and how you could benefit others around you in the world that you're in.
It's beautiful. And what do you think is holding most men back from reaching their full potential? What do you think it is? Something inside of them? What is it? What have you seen from your experiences?
A lot of it is the fear of failure, like I spoke about earlier. I think you need to just man up, for lack of a better term, and stop being a bitch. If you're not failing, you're not going down the right path. You have to look at whatever you're doing as a science experiment, right? In all science experiments, you're not going to nail the formula right away. If you look at every time you miss the formula as a failure and you give up, then you're never going to find the right formula. So thinking of it as a science project, stop getting so emotional, right? Business should not be that emotional. Yes, you have to have passion. And yes, you have to have emotion behind it. You can't let that emotion get out of hand. You can't let somebody tell you that you're a piece of shit and have it affect you. You have to have thick skin. You have to get through it. And again, you have to man up. That's not just for men, by the way. That's for all. I know that this podcast is specifically for men, but the reality is even women need to man up, for lack of a better term. Because the reality is that nobody has it harder than women out there, creating jobs and becoming entrepreneurs and all the adversity that they have to go through to do what they have to do. And we have to start looking at adversity as the obstacle that we want to learn to get over.
So what could be another word that we could use here? So it would be better for both men and women, take on adversity or go into the fear, to embrace fear, to embrace uncertainty, uncertainty more. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm totally going to bite off one of my favorite authors. This guy, Ryan Holiday, who was at American Apparel early on, he wrote a really good book. And this is the saying, the obstacle is the way.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, he's been on the show and he shared that, a lot of that book here. I think it's a powerful way to view the challenges that are in front of us for both men and women as well. You mentioned a book earlier, So Good They Can't Ignore You. This is the next question I have here is what would you say? I usually ask for 3. You've already given us 1, So Good They Can't Ignore You. What would be 2 other of your most influential books that have helped you on your journey, and why?
Yeah, that's a great question because I love to read. Ryan Holiday's book is the shit. I mean, he was on your show. I listened to that episode. I love him. His stoic approach, his modern stoicism, and the way he explains things in that book is very inspirational. So I would say that the obstacle is the way is definitely top on my list. I mean, to really understand that learning the obstacle, that's the gift that you're given to figure this thing out, to figure this puzzle out. I relate to that tremendously. And that book has gotten me over a lot of different things in my life. So that's one of them. I also like The Power of Now. I know it's a little bit like a kind of like reads like a little bit of a self-help book, but the reality is we all need help. We're all crazy. But I love focusing on the here and the now. Our minds tend to get away from us, and we look at the future and we look at the past, and it brings on this overwhelming anxiety. But the reality is the only thing that we could change is the now. I'm a huge fan of that. I'm a huge fan of understanding that. My last book that I would recommend is from one of my favorite authors, Malcolm Gladwell. And I know that Outliers is an amazing book, but for me, Blink was very inspirational because it's really a story. It's a book about trusting yourself more and trusting your intuition. Many times we talk ourselves out of our intuition just based on a lot of different variables, fear, just the world around us at that moment. But Blink teaches us that all of our life experiences, we've been learning and learning and learning, and we need to trust ourselves more in our initial feelings. It's been proven right to me over and over again. The thesis behind trusting your initial view on things has proven to be very beneficial in my life.
That's good. I'll have to check some of those books out. And this next question here is more of a scenario here for you, Jason. So imagine you had 60 seconds with your 20-year-old self, if you could envision where he's at personally, professionally, financially, and knowing what you now know today, and you could sit down with him, what would you tell him to do? And what would you tell him not to do?
I would tell my 20-year-old self to relax a little bit more, to enjoy the ride a little bit more. I definitely am one of those people. I talk about learning from lessons, but it's been a very stressful journey, and I'm still here. And I'm learning that now, to like what I do a lot more, to like the people I'm around with, to like the process a little bit more. And I would say, look, you're going to make it at least till 38. So enjoy it.
Yeah.
Enjoy it a little bit more, and don't get so stressed out all the time.
Yeah. What do you think that would have done for you if you listened, your 20-year-old self listened to that? What would have happened?
I don't have a clear answer to that. I may. If I really thought that was me, like saying that, I would listen, and then I would wonder, did I erase my whole future? Because did that anxiety and did that stress bring me to where I'm at today? So
yeah, interesting.
It's kind of like a Back to the Future thing. Like, am I going to screw with the future of things?
Yeah, like the butterfly effect or something like that. Well, okay, so final coming down here, if you can say it simply and easily, what's your philosophy on success?
My true philosophy on success is that you're really never there, but you're always there. And what I mean by that is if you keep striving to be something that you're not, you're never going to be there, but you're probably there already. And just be the best person and to do your 100% all the time, and that's all you could do. And you'll always be successful.
I like that. So it's like being grateful, really enjoying the life that you have today while you're moving forward and creating the life you want for tomorrow.
Exactly.
There it is. This has been fantastic. And what's exciting you now today? Kind of coming towards the end of the year here. Like what are you looking forward to in the next year? What's getting you out of bed in the morning?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Like we're building the team, we're growing. We just built space inside NYU, which is an amazing collaboration, an amazing school. And we're about to announce a really, really big partnership that we're going national. We're opening up in multiple locations around the country.
Wow.
And I'm just excited.
Where are we going?
So we're doing an East Coast roll-up thing.
Yep.
And we're going to be announcing in the next couple of months. And I'm super excited about it.
Okay. So how do you guys differ? I mean, just looking at your website and stuff, how would you say you guys differ from WeWork?
It depends on who's asking, right? I mean, if an investor asked me, I'd be like, do I have to be different? I mean, they paved the way to an unbelievable opportunity for my industry to be and touch an addressable market.
Yeah.
But I say from a core point of view, much more boutique. We're much more high touch. We look at WeWork as kind of like a Hilton, and we'd be like the W. We invest in some of the companies that come to the space, and we're much more connected to our members, their journey. And we're every day I wake up in the morning and I'm trying to create value in their experiences and help them through their journey.
Yeah. Cool. Really exciting. And looking forward to seeing the rollout of your new spaces around the country and seeing those locations. This has been a fantastic show. So for everyone listening, you can follow up with Jason Saltzman. It's youralley.com. Is that correct?
Yep.
youralley.com. You can also Google him, and you get all kinds of different articles that he's written, been a part of many major media outlets. And Jason, we got a book coming out soon. What's the deal?
I'm thinking about it. My story's not quarter way there yet,
Hey man, our boy Ryan Holiday's I think he's my age. He's like 28, 29. He's got, I think he could be at NYT. I think he's at NYT now, New York Times bestseller with Ego's the Enemy. He's done really well. And you got a ton of experience that could help a lot of people.
Yeah, I listen, it's definitely something I think about. It's like the time. And stop making me feel old, by the way.
All right. Well, yeah. Well, I'm sorry if I'm making you feel insecure here. For all the listeners, check out Jason's work. Jason, you've impacted many lives here today, given us the truth, the realness of what it takes to build a business, and also equipped us with what it takes to be successful when we do, so that we can be in that top 3, 2, and 1% of businesses who do succeed. So, Jason, I thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for listening to the Knowledge for Men podcast. Hundreds of interviews and millions of downloads later, we're continuing to build an international movement, and we're just getting started. So if you enjoyed this episode, go ahead and leave a helpful review in iTunes, because it really helps the podcast grow so we can impact even more men in the world who need this. Guys, this is all about living with purpose, where every day you only do things that matter to you. You wake up, live with purpose, and take massive action towards the life you want. And always remember, love the life you have while creating the life of your dreams. Go to kfmfree.com to get a surprise bonus I've made for my listeners. Again, that's kfmfree.com for something that's changed my life, and I'm offering it to you for free. Also, check out my Amazon best-selling books that I've written for you to help you crush life at kfmauthor.com. Again, that's kfmauthor.com to see all the books I've created to help you break through in life. This is your host, Andrew Farabee, founder of knowledgeformen.com, and I'll see you in the next episode.